The moment my girlfriend, Emily, looked me straight in the eyes and calmly said, "Maybe an open relationship is the only way we can save us," I felt as if the ground beneath me had disappeared. We had spent 4 years building what I believed was an unbreakable future together. We shared an apartment, dreams, and countless promises. Yet now she spoke as though loyalty had become outdated. She insisted this wasn't about replacing each other, but about finding freedom. My heart screamed that something was terribly wrong, but I forced myself to stay calm, unaware that her proposal was only the beginning of a carefully hidden deception. I didn't reject the idea immediately, because I wanted to understand why the woman who once believed love meant commitment had suddenly changed overnight. Emily became strangely defensive whenever I asked questions. She claimed several of her co-workers had successful open relationships and insisted modern couples were happier without restrictions. Her words sounded rehearsed, almost memorized. That night, I barely slept. Every sentence she had spoken echoed through my head. I wasn't afraid of losing her to another man. I was afraid she had already chosen someone else long before asking for permission. The following weeks felt like living beside a complete stranger. Emily suddenly cared more about her appearance than ever before. New dresses appeared in our closet. Expensive perfume filled the apartment, and mysterious late-night team meetings became routine. Whenever I entered the room unexpectedly, she'd flip her phone over instantly. She smiled less at me, but seemed unusually cheerful whenever notifications appeared on her screen. Friends told me not to overthink it, but my instincts refused to stay silent. Deep inside, I knew there was another story hiding beneath her carefully crafted explanations. Instead of confronting her without evidence, I decided to observe quietly. One Friday evening, she claimed she was attending a marketing conference across town. Something about her nervous smile convinced me to follow her from a distance. Instead of driving toward the convention center, she parked outside an expensive downtown hotel. My pulse raced as I watched her enter the lobby with confidence. Minutes later, a luxury SUV arrived, and a sharply dressed businessman stepped out. He greeted her with a warm embrace that lasted far longer than friendship ever should. My heart shattered, yet something still didn't make sense. I expected rage to consume me, but curiosity became stronger. Rather than storming into the hotel, I waited outside for nearly 2 hours. When Emily finally emerged, she wasn't smiling anymore. Instead, she looked frightened. The businessman handed her a thick envelope before quickly driving away. Emily glanced around nervously, hiding the envelope inside her purse before rushing home. The expression on her face wasn't the look of someone enjoying an affair. It was the look of someone trapped in something dangerous. For the first time, I wondered whether I had misunderstood everything. The opportunity arrived unexpectedly the next morning. Emily left early for the gym, forgetting her tablet on the kitchen counter. I had never invaded her privacy before, but desperation overcame guilt. Most of her files revealed nothing unusual until I discovered a hidden folder protected by a password. Surprisingly, the password was my birthday. Inside were dozens of scanned contracts, financial reports, and photographs of the businessman meeting with several influential people. One document immediately caught my attention. At the bottom was Emily's handwritten note. "If anything happens to me, show this to Daniel." My name. Before I could process what I had found, the apartment door suddenly unlocked. Emily had returned much earlier than expected. She froze the moment she saw the tablet in my hands. Her face turned completely pale, and tears instantly filled her eyes. For several agonizing seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered the one sentence I never expected to hear. "Please, before you hate me forever, let me tell you why I had to make you believe I wanted someone else." Emily slowly sat across from me, clutching the edge of the kitchen table, as though it was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. Tears streamed down her face before she finally spoke. "There was never an open relationship," she whispered. "I only wanted you to believe there was." Every angry thought I had prepared vanished. She explained that 6 months earlier, she had uncovered evidence that the businessman, whose name was Victor Lawson, had been laundering millions of dollars through fake marketing contracts at her company. She accidentally downloaded confidential files while preparing a quarterly report, and from that day forward, Victor began threatening her. He warned that if she ever exposed him, The people she loved would pay the price. Emily admitted Victor quickly realized how much she cared about me. Instead of threatening her directly, he started mentioning my daily routine, my office, even the coffee shop I visited every morning. He made it clear that he knew exactly where I was at all times. Terrified, she believed the only way to keep me alive was to push me away emotionally. The idea of an open relationship wasn't something she wanted. It was a desperate attempt to make me leave her before Victor decided I was a liability. The hotel meetings weren't romantic encounters at all. They were forced exchanges where Victor demanded documents in silence, while reminding her that one mistake could cost me everything. As I listened, guilt hit me harder than betrayal ever could. While I had been assuming the worst, Emily had been carrying unimaginable fear completely alone. Then she reached into her purse and placed the same thick envelope on the table. Inside were original financial records, photographs, voice recordings, and copies of offshore bank transfers connecting Victor to several powerful executives. "I've been collecting evidence for months," she said. "I planned to give everything to the FBI anonymously, but I knew he was watching me. If I disappeared, I wanted you to finish what I couldn't." Suddenly, every strained behavior, every sleepless night, and every forced smile finally made sense. Before we could decide what to do next, headlights swept across our apartment window. Emily looked outside and instantly froze. A black SUV had parked directly across the street. "He's here," she whispered. My pulse exploded. Seconds later, an unknown number appeared on her phone. She answered on speaker. Victor's calm voice filled the room. "I hope your boyfriend enjoyed reading my files," he said with a chilling laugh. "You both have one chance to hand everything over. Otherwise, tomorrow morning neither of you will have a future worth protecting." The call ended, leaving behind a silence so heavy it felt impossible to breathe. Instead of panicking, we acted. I contacted an old college friend who now worked as a federal investigator, explaining only enough to arrange an emergency meeting. Within an hour, we were driving toward a secure government office while unmarked vehicles quietly followed at a distance. The investigators examined every document, every recording, and every photograph. One audio file became the breakthrough. Victor could clearly be heard admitting he had bribed executives, destroyed financial records, and threatened employees who discovered the truth. The agents immediately launched an overnight operation. By sunrise, search warrants had been executed at multiple offices, and Victor's entire criminal network had begun collapsing piece by piece. 3 weeks later, the news dominated every television channel. Victor Lawson had been arrested alongside several executives on charges, including fraud, money laundering, conspiracy, and witness intimidation. Authorities announced they had recovered millions of dollars and credited an anonymous employee's evidence for exposing the operation. Emily's identity remained protected. Exactly as promised, we sat together in our living room watching the broadcast in complete silence. For the first time in months, neither of us felt afraid. She reached for my hand and quietly apologized for every lie she had been forced to tell. I squeezed her hand gently and replied, "You never betrayed me. You were trying to save me." The experience changed both of us forever. We learned that real relationships aren't destroyed only by lies. They're destroyed when fear prevents two people from trusting each other with the truth. If Emily had carried the burden alone any longer, Victor might have won. If I had confronted her with anger instead of searching for answers, I might have walked away from a woman who was risking everything to protect me. Our love survived not because of an open relationship, but because one hidden secret was finally brought into the light. Sometimes the most shocking truth isn't that someone is unfaithful. It's that they're silently fighting a battle to keep the person they love alive.